Does it really matter that most American kids dream of being YouTubers and not astronauts? Kids nowadays prefer to dream of a job that's more enjoyable rather than honorable, each seeking financial stability with how they want to live their life. How would you feel about an astronaut with a YouTube channel? To be fair, they have a better chance at achieving that than being astronauts. Kids aren't applying this sort of critical thinking, but being an astronaut is sort of a terrible job. The barrier to entry is incredibly high. The working hours are garbage. The working environment is incredibly dangerous. And the pay isn't that good considering all of the aforementioned drawbacks. A lot of astronauts were test pilots before they were astronauts. And that job has a reputation for killing its workers. Worst of all, your funding can be cut off at any time. Ultimately, the places where astronauts can make most of their money is doing speaking gigs and book deals. Overall, I'd say being an astronaut is something to aspire to, but not a good career path. Being a YouTuber has a fairly low barrier to entry. There are significantly more YouTubers than astronauts. The success rate for YouTube being a person's sole income is low. But YouTube can be a side gig. A person can be a YouTuber and an engineer. In fact, many successful YouTubers were successful in another field which they leveraged as content. For YouTube success, AdSense from YouTube generally don't make a ton of money unless the channel is massive, but mid-sized channels can get by on brand deals. A YouTuber can also leverage their success to get a book deal, acting gig, mobile game, speaking gig, you name it really. With all that considered, it seems like YouTuber is the better career to aspire to. The barrier to entry is lower. You take on a lot fewer risks. The career is more flexible. You have a more diversified career path, and a broader number of ways to be successful in the field. Lastly, you can do the job without strapping yourself to a one-directional bomb and launching yourself into orbit. You can also be a YouTuber and an astronaut, which would benefit the YouTube side of the career more than the astronaut side. It only matters depending on what your goals are and the direction you think society should be going, I guess. Although I think there's a legitimate argument to be made that more scientists are better for society than more entertainers. I don't know about astronauts specifically, but I think it would be pretty hard to argue that our society would benefit more from having more YouTubers than more scientists trying to further our knowledge and understanding of the universe around us. I remember my aunt always telling me to grow up to be rich and famous, which must have been her generation's goal. Most of my friends wanted to be rich, not famous. I guess this generation wants to be famous, not rich, and certainly not discovering much to move society forward, just making lame videos for clicks. I find that kids wanting to be YouTubers is no different than kids in my generation wanting to be movie stars or TV actors. It's about the fame, not how it's delivered. My kid wants to be a writer and a YouTuber. Not really. Kids have always wanted to pursue things that look easy but paid extremely well. How many teenagers tried to learn guitar to become a rock star? How many fell for the mall scams to take acting or modeling classes to become famous? How many promising teenage athletes assumed they were going to be drafted in the first round after college? Sure, some kids wanted to become doctors or astronauts, but there has always been a sizable chunk who thought, I just need to be famous, then everything will be great. Social media is just the new iteration of that. It seems so close and attainable. All the tools are there. The only thing they're missing is talent and audience. Same as it ever was. Yes, it is a big deal. We should definitely be teaching kids that social media is a toxic sludge fest and that pursuing Science and technology is the only way we make progress. I mean, as slim of a chance it is to become a successful YouTuber. It's an even slimmer chance to become astronauts. It's no big loss. They will just end up being another body in an exploitative work environment like everyone else. When I was a kid I wanted to be a dinosaur. People change. Seems like a lot of people are missing the point and getting hung up on the feasibility of becoming, specifically, an astronaut. The criticism comparison is to any high-skill, intellectual job. You could switch astronaut for doctor, lawyer, AI engineer and it would be the same question. I think being an astronaut just equated to being famous, and I don't think that even close to half of the "I'm going to be an astronaut when I grow up" crowd were ever actually considering doing the work it took to become an astronaut. YouTuber is just an easier way to become famous, and no one cares about astronauts. It's the equivalent of your peers wanting to be actors or rock stars or professional sports players when you were a kid. You don't think it matters that kids care more about one of the lowest forms of entertainment than the sciences? Moons haunted. If this stat is true, I wonder if it had previously been movie stars rather than astronauts. And if it was, when was the decline in children wanting to be astronauts? I wanted to be a magician, but now I underwrite insurance. Only like 1% of kids actually become what they say. So, it doesn't matter at all. That's probably how people felt when children started dreaming of becoming movie stars. Times and standards change. Wanting to be a YouTuber is the same as kids in generations past wanting to be famous movie stars or just being a celebrity as their main goal. American kids always dreamed of being stars, never really understanding the work that goes into that. In today's society it feels so much closer to be achievable, but it's honestly still very far away. And a ton of work. The issue today isn't the goal of becoming a YouTuber. It's the fact that there's exponentially more content out there to consume, and it's so much easier to access it. People could stare at their phones 24/7 for the rest of their lives and never hit the end of it. I'm not sure how to balance that today when raising children. Don't have any. But I feel like it's a big responsibility of parents most of all.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.